in the night, your heart fills with dread. Probably a murderer who wants you dead. It could be a ghost, a demon, or worse. Perhaps you're the victim of a witch's curse. It's hopeless, you're doomed. You'd call a priest if you could. You'd rather just listen to who? Sinisterhood. Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Freaky Friday, where we tell your odd but true stories. It is Friday, July 5th, and in a freaky twist, we're recording Freaky Friday on Freaky Friday.
Yeah, thanks, America.
It's Freaky
We
Fresh
all
Friday.
had to go do shit yesterday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, someone said America having 4th of July in the middle of the week right after all the decisions came out. It's a little bit like your friend being really rude to you and then being like, my birthday party's next week, by the way. We're coming.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't want to go to that.
But I'm not really feeling that anymore. Yeah.
It was the 100th anniversary of the invention of the Caesar salad, though, so that's what I was celebrating with my family.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. It's amazing that a salad has lasted that long. Look at it. 100 years.
You know what? You throw some anchovy and other stuff and lettuce together and you got a hit.
There you go. And it lasts a century. A century. Well, we hope you all in the States that celebrated did so safely, not sunburned, not too much hot dogs or whatever else. And we've got quite a lineup for y'all today.
We do. In fact, I didn't get any sunburn, but
No?
I did go swimming and it was great. But I'll tell you, even in a pool in Texas, it's like swimming in a bathtub.
It's just hot water.
You don't dive in and you're like, wow, what a cold, refreshing pool. But I mean, it was great because every day Ella's like, I want a pool. And I'm like, Ella, we all want a pool.
Yeah,
okay. Finally I was like, we're saving for one, but they're very, very, very expensive.
You see all that dirt? It's got to go somewhere.
I go, they got to take our fence out. They got to tear all that stuff up. Then they got a big excavator. I was like, it's a whole process, but it's honestly becoming a necessity if you live here because it is so hot that you can't go outside unless you can have a pool to immediately jump into.
I've been feeling really depressed, like worse than usual, because I am such an outdoor go for a walk person. And I was like talking to my therapist about it, and she's like, yeah, it's like reverse seasonal affective. Like if you can't, it's like some people in the winter feel all bogged down. And I was like, it's like summer cabin fever. So wherever everybody's at, I hope y'all are getting some coolness. I went to my cousin's house and visited with some family, and she's got a golf course that abuts her house. And we watched the fireworks from that. And they said, oh, they're about 400 feet out. For fireworks, that is close. And I said, I felt like I was in an IMAX show. I kept going,
it's loud,
God damn.
too.
And, I'm sure all her friends were like, she invited her redneck cousin over. I'm in my Crocs. Shout out to one of our listeners sent a Bigfoot shirt for me that has like an American flag on it. So I was wearing that and I was just going, God damn, those fireworks are close. So I was fitting into my mesquite roots.
Well, I'm glad that you got an up close and personal show. We elected to not go look at any. I believe I said, I don't care about him and America sucks was my exact quote when we were trying to figure out if we were going to go watch any, but we did hear them until the wee hours. So,
oh yeah, man, they won't let you forget it. Well, happy birthday to the Caesar salad. And for this, well, before we get into these stories, we have to let you all know that very soon we are leaving town. We're going to be coming to Cincinnati, Ohio, July 16th, Cleveland, Ohio, July 17th, and Toronto, July 19th. Not just for a trip, though. We're going to talk about the moon.
We are. We've got our full moon energy tour. It's everything you love about the podcast, but it's all about the darker side of the moon, what it does to us, what lurks up there, what people think really happened during the Apollo missions, and some fun audience participation segments as well.
And we're rounding out the dates after Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Toronto. We're hitting Kansas City, Oklahoma City, San Diego, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and ended it in Dallas. So for details, including dates, times, venues, and more, visit sinisterhood.com/live shows and come on, hang out with us in person. That's a hoot.
It is. It's always such a good time. And I am really crossing my fingers for that Toronto weather. I feel like that's going to be the one where that in San Diego.
We're waiting for you.
Those are the two that are going to be like, welcome us with cool open arms.
And then we never leave.
Perhaps. Yeah. And then I just commute between Toronto and San Diego. Honestly, would love to live in either of those cities. I think that'd be great.
I yelled at Paris the other day. I go, we can do this job from anywhere. Why am I doing this here? And he goes, well, we'll figure it out. It's okay.
I ask myself that every day, and the answer always comes back to friends and family.
Truly.
But so that's why I'm trying to get all my friends and family to also move so we can just all be comfortable together somewhere.
It's like, listen, guys, we've created a compound. Okay. I'm not saying that you have to come live on it, but it's a big plot of land. Bring your own tiny home. We'll figure out a community garden in the center. And it'll be, I'm describing a commune.
Well, you know what? If it's all your friends that you already know ahead of time, then I feel like the odds that it doesn't turn into a cult are better.
It's higher. Yeah. You have something else to be connected by, not just like, and I am the Messiah.
Yeah.
But I am the Messiah.
We are going to have to elect a Messiah.
It's me.
Oh, it's you. Okay. All right. Well, before we all move to our commune that Heather's going to run, let's get into some Freaky Friday stories. I'm Christy.
And I'm Heather.
And let's get freaky. And a content warning, there's brief mentions of child abuse and spiritual abuse. This first one is from Lauren, and it is called Lions and Tigers and Evangelical Pastors. Oh my. Hello, Christy and Heather. I love Sinisterhood and getting to hear my weekly true crime creepy stories told by my faved fellow Texan gals. I, unfortunately, am from Southlake, Texas, and was raised in Gateway Church. I stopped attending Gateway once I could drive in high school, a decision which caused a rift with my parents most Sundays. I've been undergoing the long and often painful process of breaking down what I was taught and forming my own beliefs ever since. Thank you for your honest discussion on how abuse can often be covered over by the church. On a lighter note, your understanding of evangelicalism looking like righteous gemstones is spot on. I thought you might be interested in insights on the different types of evangelical Christianity and how it creates space for religious and other abuses. My qualifications are 1. I was raised in Gateway Church. 2. I majored in religion at Baylor University. 3. I took classes on evangelicalism, revelations, and belief on the end times and cults. And 4. I attended Kanakuk camps for 12 years, the evangelical summer camp in Missouri, with a few child abusers over the years, one of which was the camp director when I was a kid. Okay, the breakdown. Evangelicalism, or evangelical Christianity, is an interdenominational branch of Protestant Christianity focused on sharing the gospel. This is the cause of the rapid and vast spread of the evangelical movement. To evangelicals, it is the duty of Christians to spread the good news of Jesus and create more believers. Consequently, the bigger the church, the better, because that means God is moving in the community. This can also lead to the church intersecting with politics, because it is good for America to be a Christian nation. And the gospel may be spread by having people in power that are advancing conservative values. See Robert Morris of Gateway as a spiritual advisor for Donald Trump. The authority of the Bible is the true word of God as inerrant. This is because it is not a belief that the Bible was written by human authors inspired by the word of God and includes figurative language, literary devices to communicate a narrative, and important cultural contexts that influence the content. Instead, adherence to the belief that the Bible is inerrant means every word of the Bible is the word of God, and therefore wholly true and incapable of being incorrect or in error. This teaching is what enables the subjugation of women in the church. While not all evangelicals believe in biblical inerrancy, it is the predominant view of cultural American evangelicalism. The quote, born-again religious conversion experience. Once one accepts Christ, they are free from eternal damnation in hell, forgiven of all sins past, present, and future. When one becomes a Christian, they are a new person in Christ. Forgiveness by Christ happens once and for all time, and it covers all wrongdoings of the believer. This belief is manipulated by abusers that claim God has forgiven them of their sins, so others should forgive them as well. Notably, most evangelical churches are non-denominational, meaning they are not subject to a national or international governing body, which sets checks and balances for the church's dogma and administrative structure. This lack of a governing body to hold church leaders accountable is why evangelical churches can become spaces for power-seeking people to exert control over congregants and create toxic or even dangerous environments. Charismatic evangelicalism is a branch of evangelicalism with a focus on powerful religious experiences and was significantly influenced by Pentecostalism, adopting the more supernatural aspects of Pentecostalism, such as healing services and even speaking in tongues or the renunciation of demons. The charismatic movement places an emphasis on the movement of the Holy Spirit and the ability of the Holy Spirit to stir up supernatural spiritual giftings within individuals. Note, the charismatic movement did not begin in evangelicalism and exists in other Christian denominations as well. Charismatic evangelicalism can be marked by massive gatherings in large churches, grand, teetering on theatrical, religious services, an emphasis on musical and/or visual production and experience, and grand altar calls, summoning the audience to free themselves of their past and be washed free in Christ, done with emotional music playing in the background and often a fog machine. Gateway Church falls under charismatic evangelicalism. Yes, they really do have monthly, quote, healing services. So yeah, to sum up, you aren't that far off with Righteous Gemstones. That show hits too close to home. If you made it to the end of this overview, thanks for reading and letting me share what insights I may have in discussing abuse in the church. This past episode was, while haunting, also empowering to know that abuse like this is being exposed and abusers will no longer be able to hide behind their church. My favorite reference books that are easy reads are Jesus and John Wayne by Kristen Kobes-Dumez, The Making of Biblical Womanhood by Beth Allison Barr, and When Narcissism Comes to Church by Chuck DeGroat. Also, a great case study is found in the podcast series The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill by Christianity Today.
Well, thank you very much for this overview, Lauren, and I think you are well qualified given your experiences, especially—
I feel like I just took a class.
Right?
A welcomed one. I learned so much.
Honestly, and it is interesting how, at least with the concept of the forgiveness, not just the, in general forgiveness in Christianity, but this forgiveness by Christ washes away, and therefore nobody in your life can be mad at you anymore. We saw that in text message exchanges between JP and Micah, saying and allegations from, I believe, her sister, where he would say well, you're not a good Christian if you don't forgive me because Christ has already forgave me and now you're just being a judge of me. So you do see how on a wide scale, like the Kanakuk camps and Gateway Church, where there's wide scale abuse, but also one-to-one abuse using those same tenets of what is kind of a made up version. They took Christianity that was with a dogma and a doctrine and sort of go, well, we're going to kind of do it our own way. And by the way, we have our own rules.
To me, all religions have their own rules and kind of make it up. It's just, at what point in history did it happen? But these are all such good points of like you said, all the sneaky tactics are the same that can be used in front of a congregation of 700 or one-on-one with a person or a child. So it's very toxic. And to think of these Kanakuk camps that are, even when Lauren was attending, and I hope, Lauren, that you didn't experience any abuse while you were there, but the camp director was a child abuser. Are you not doing background checks, or are you just forgiving those background checks and what might come up on them? And do the parents that are sending their kids there know all of that?
Oh, no, it was very hidden from the parents in my experience. When I did an externship with a federal judge, one of the cases I had to help write an opinion on was a Kanakuk camp, abused child, family. Now, I think the child had grown older, but the family was now suing both the camp and the individual. But you want to sue the camps because that's where there's money that you can get any sort of thing, but also because you want that to be knowledge so that other people know, like it's public knowledge. So then you get the allegations from the camp of like, well, these kids, this family is just out for money. And it's like, no, I have to sue you because you won't do the right thing, which is to sue these people. But no, the camp, that specific perpetrator had abused several children across the country because they were camp promotional people that would go from church to church, and then they would stand up at the church, do a presentation, and a family from the church would give them a place to stay in their home. And so that's the kind of widespread, extensive abuse that sort of goes, well, you know, we couldn't have known. And it's like, you couldn't have known, because it also happened at the camp too. So Gateway Church and stuff like that, where it's these big organizations that something comes out after so long and they go, well, we didn't know. And it's like, bullshit, go through the discovery. They knew.
But also, to go back to like just all these tenets, when you're preaching to everyone in the congregation and you have them under your thumb that like women are lesser than, kids are kind of there to be seen, not heard. And also, we should all forgive everybody, you know, our fellow man of transgressions. That, to me, is going to make some parents or a family that may otherwise be very discerning in who they allow into their house to spend the night with minors in the home. It softens it, you know, like, well, we should let this person in. They're part of our church and we're good Christians. And it's like, okay, well, you're also allowing a child abuser under your roof to spend the night in the house with your kid. So which one is more important to you, to look like a good Christian or to protect your child?
Yeah. And whether or not you listen to kids out crying who said, hey, this guy did this to me. And they're like, oh, Bob would never do that. He's been with the church for 30 years. And it's like, well, ask Gateway Church, because that guy was with the church, you know, for 30 years.
And guess what? He was doing it for 30 years. So
almost the whole time. Yeah.
It's not like he would never do that. It's usually he's been doing it the whole time and we just now found out. And for those of you that have, I think we mentioned this on a recent episode or Freaky Friday, but Gateway Church is a mega church in Southlake, which is a suburb of Dallas here, a very wealthy and white suburb. And the director of the church just recently was fired due to sexual abuse allegations of a minor. And now it's come out that a lot of other people that work there are also in the same boat.
And he admitted that he did it too. So it was more than, they didn't just fire him for the allegations. He came out and said, yeah, you're right, I did do it. But everyone should forgive me, right? And they're, at least to their credit, were like, no, you're fired. But how long did you all know before he actually was forced to admit it publicly? But that the idea of the grand teetering on theatrical religious services, I went to Prestonwood Baptist Church's famous, it goes viral on TikTok every year, where they have camels and zebras and Jesus comes down from the rafters and there are fog machines and all this music. And I just remember sitting there going, God, there's so many hungry people in Dallas. God, there's so many hungry people in Dallas. And you paid a lot for that camel. You paid a lot for that.
Yeah. Camels aren't cheap. It is it's a slap in the face when you're like, where's all this tithing going to this camel production, to this huge show, elaborate production, or should we be giving some of that to, you know, the people that are sleeping on the street, down the street from this church and don't have anything to eat tonight? Yeah.
It's a wild, juxtaposition of, you know, condemning sort of pride and then having sort of a prideful look at how great we are kind of thing. But Righteous Gemstone sounds like we're not too far off. And I think the more people that are not just come forward, but that are supported when they do come forward, I think that's when you see more and more things like this topple. And when you kind of say, I'm not here to support a church, I'm here to support what is right. And if I find out that my church sucks, guess what? I'm going to have to go against that pastor because that's not what's right. Like nobody ever said, oh, you got to go be loyal to a church. It's like, if that's your religion and you believe that, you're loyal to God, not a man or a building or whatever, in which case then you need to go with what's righteous. The gemstones, it sounds like, the righteous gemstones.
Yeah, I also found it very interesting. I don't know if that's the right word, but I've been saying this for over a year, that the evangelical right is what is taking over the country. And to hear that Robert Morris is a spiritual advisor for Donald Trump. And then when you watch, what was the documentary we watched about the people that work for the White House family? And politicians? Yeah, the family. And how, you know, I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just how things are. And with an election looming, and who knows what is going to happen. It's a very scary place to be, especially knowing that the evangelical fundamentalists are very much in bed with the politicians and are a huge factor in who gets elected because they got a lot of money and they got a lot of power, and all those people are in bed together.
No, and literally, if people want to watch, God forbid, the sex scandal that brought down a dynasty, the 2022 documentary about Jerry Falwell Jr., that pretty clearly explains how Donald Trump manipulated, utilized the evangelical right to get elected. And there's a new documentary I do want to watch called Bad Faith, which is about the dangerous rise of Christian nationalism and essentially how it's pointed towards destroying democracy to the point of installing an authoritarian Christian dictatorship. So I'm very interested in watching that. It's got like a 97% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, like a 100% audience score. But I'm interested in the breakdown in how stuff got where. So I thought God forbid did a good job a little bit, but it's obviously focused more on the Jerry Falwell Jr. sex scandal. But that background was the most interesting part of that docuseries to me.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for all of that information. And clearly you were paying attention in school because
yeah, right. A+.
you got an A+ on that.
Sinisterhood will be right back. Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preferences. And you're talking to Helix fans right here.
Oh, I'm a Helix head.
Yeah, Helix head for life.
About to order Simon. He's getting a big boy bed, so we're about to order him one. Ella already has one, and super comfy, and he's laying in it all the time, so we might as well get two.
Nice.
And then that way, maybe they won't constantly come and try and get into our bed and sleep, although I low-key love it, so it's fine. But they're always like, your bed is so comfy. I'm like, I know.
Yes, it's a Helix.
The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers and ones made just for kiddos.
Helix knows there's no better way to test out a new mattress than by sleeping in it in your own home. That's why they offer a 100-night trial and a 10 to 15-year warranty for you and your child to try out your new Helix mattresses.
And they know that everybody has a different type of body. We're all unique. So whether you're a side sleeper, back or stomach sleeper, maybe you're all of the above, Helix has got you. They offer a mattress for you. Plus, they have enhanced cooling features that help regulate your body temperature, whatever the season.
I'm so used to them that when we travel, I'm just like, you ain't Helix. I'll sleep in you, but you ain't Helix. The good thing about Helix's setup is fast and easy. Their Helix mattresses are delivered in a box straight to your door for free. By supporting Helix, you're allowing them to support us and our show, which we greatly appreciate. Plus, you get a good night's sleep.
Oh, yeah. You're not going to regret it. I promise you. And the pillows that you get too, best pillows I've ever slept on. Helix is offering 30% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/creepy. That's helixsleep.com/creepy. This is their best offer yet, and it won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. Well, your daughter's written in.
Hello, sweetheart.
This is from Anonymous, and the subject line is A Venetian Lesson. Anonymous writes, Hey ladies, thank you so much for reading my story, even if it's not shared on the podcast. I feel like it's important for me to finally tell it. I've been listening to you ladies for about a year now, and after binging all your episodes, I feel safe sharing. I'm from Canada, and I used to travel the world by myself. Back in 2014, I was living in the UK and decided to take a weekend trip to Venice. I can't tell you how much I was looking forward to visiting. I've wanted to go since I was a little girl in love with Vivaldi's music. I was such a cool kid, right? My trip was incredible and surreal until the last full day. I decided to visit the nearby island of Murano, famous for its glassmaking, and I took the Vaporetto, or the water bus, over. Unfortunately, it was a Sunday, and I found most of the glass shops closed. I didn't let it stop me, though. I wandered through the nearly deserted streets and found a few open shops. I wanted an inexpensive piece of glass as a souvenir for myself, and I kept seeing these beautiful pendants with flower designs. I decided to keep going and see if I could find the perfect one. I came upon an open shop down a quiet alley and wandered in. This place was huge, with 2 or 3 connected rooms filled with glittering glass vases, jewelry, and other spectacular works of art. The place was empty, save for an older man. He welcomed me in and invited me to look around. I was just going to do the sweep around and exit because I'm shy and didn't want to be alone there, but he asked me what I was looking for. I said pendants, and he beckoned me to follow him. He took me into a small side room with a display taking up the center, so you could only go around. It was close quarters, and I felt a bit trapped. As I was looking around just to be polite, he suddenly said I was beautiful, and kept repeating it. I can't remember what I said. I was so shocked. Maybe I said thank you? I turned beet red. Then he was very close to me, like side hugging, and I felt his hand on my butt. He fully grabbed my ass and squeezed. I was frozen. I don't even know what I said, but it was something to the effect of, I have to go. Now, something important about this story is I was very overweight, average height and nearly 400 pounds. I don't judge people for however they want to live in their bodies, but I was so uncomfortable with my weight and was living with lots of pain. I was in my 20s, but sexually inexperienced. I'd never even been kissed because I didn't think anyone could like me, and apparently I didn't recognize flirting when it happened. It literally couldn't compute that I was lovable. I realized later that I used my weight as a shield to keep people out. After a lot of therapy dealing with my childhood trauma and the keto diet, I'm in a good place physically and mentally. Back to the story. I found myself hurrying to where I'd seen people milling around. I stopped in the middle of a bridge with a gorgeous view and just stared. It was so beautiful. And what the fuck had just happened? Why did I go with him into that room? Why didn't I shout at him? Why didn't I slap his hand away at least? I have no idea why I did this, but I asked a passing stranger to take my picture. Maybe I wanted to remember how stupid I felt. My weight had always allowed me to feel safe, but apparently I was wrong. Looking at that photo now, I can see such pain in her eyes, in my eyes. I ended up purchasing a pendant at another little shop after I calmed myself down. I remember thinking I wasn't going to let him ruin my Venice experience. I wear that pendant when I need to feel strong, like I can survive anything. This experience is not remotely the worst thing that's happened to me, but at the end of the day, it was sexual assault. My, quote, minor experience might help remind others of a few things. Today, a decade later, I know what I'd want to say to that sad-eyed girl, and to anyone else that needs to hear this. This was not your fault. This was his fault. Be vigilant, because unfortunately the world is not always safe, but don't blame yourself for other people's shitty behavior. Live your life, feel your feelings, and then forgive yourself. You did the best you could with a bad situation. Freezing is as natural as fight or flight. Next time, you'll feel more confident. Next time, maybe you'll yell. And you are beautiful, but fuck anyone who makes you feel gross about it. Thank you for reading my story. I've included 2 photos, the one from the Murano Bridge and the best candid from my pouring rain wedding day last year. Compare a pained fake smile and the most genuine joy. These photos are only for you two. Please don't share them elsewhere.
Well, your beautiful smile on your wedding day is very evident.
Love the dress and the bouquet and the black. I love
beaming.
And like I've been to several weddings where it just starts pouring and the brides always look like just stunning because like the natural, like your hair getting wet and just feeling like out in the natural elements, you look beautiful. And you also look beautiful in the Murano Bridge. But I can see in your eyes for sure that one has a light that the other one doesn't.
For sure. And thank you for that message, not just for yourself from the past, which I also am trying to be kind to my past self, but this is an important message for people right now. And I think starting it off, this was not your fault, this was his fault, is so, so vital because I got yelled at yesterday when I was running and I thought, well, what was I doing? And then I had to stop myself and go, it doesn't fucking matter. Or like when Taylor Swift had to sue that guy for grabbing her ass and they go, well, why didn't you stop your concert? Why didn't you do it? She goes, I'm not the one who grabbed anyone's ass. It's like, I think we all, when we have these experiences, you know, why didn't you just leave the glass shop? Why didn't you do this? When we have these experiences, go, why are we questioning my behavior when I did nothing wrong except for browse a store, which is what stores are for, you know, go for a walk, take a meet and greet photo. We're all just living our lives when these things happen. And I'm glad too that you are not minimizing, you know, you said minor in quotes, but like, it is an experience that is being alone, being cornered, being grabbed in a sexual way by a person. They're not right things to happen. And I'm very glad that you're framing it in a way that's like, I did nothing wrong.
No, for real. And I think stuff like this was very common when I was a teen, which would have been way before 2014, but it was very minimized then. And if you brought something up as, quote, minor, as like a stranger grabbing your ass, you'd be like, why are you making this a big deal? Just like, forget about it. You know, I mean, if it was something major, then, you know, it was taken more seriously. But whether it's like a major thing or something like a person puts their hand on your ass that you didn't ask to be put there, it's still violating. It's still assault, and it still changes and shapes the way you look at people, the way you think about yourself. So even if it's a small thing, don't feel like you don't have, and I'm saying this to you, to everyone, that you know, have to minimize it. If it was traumatic to you, then it's worth talking about. And, you know, don't minimize your feelings or let other people minimize them either.
Absolutely. And I like this, thinking back on our past selves and giving them a little pep talk and like, hey, I want to say something to you. I love you, and you did it the best you could when you did.
Well, thank you so much, Anonymous, for sending that in. This next one, also from Anonymous. This is from your daughter who lives in South Africa.
Hello, sweetheart.
And this Anonymous writes, behind the eye graffiti electric box, a South African mystery. Hey, Sinisterhood moms, it's one of your loyal daughters from South Africa here, signing in as Anonymous. First off, Heather and Christy, you both rock. Your podcast is my go-to companion during the mundane and the marvelous moments of my day. You've inspired me to find my voice, empowered me to speak up, and given me a treasure trove of bizarre tales to ponder. Thank you for being the delightful, spooky duo that brightens my day. Now, on to my own little slice of weirdness. I lived in a cozy apartment with a stunning view of Table Mountain. The tranquility of my surroundings was often interrupted by the odd, peculiar event. One such occurrence took place on Monday, October 18th, 2021, around 6:30 p.m. I noticed a gray/silver Chevrolet abruptly stop on the left side of the road. The driver exited the vehicle hastily. His body language reeked of anxiety and fear. He kept glancing around nervously, seemingly aware of his surroundings, possibly even noticing me watching from my window. His destination was the peculiar electric box adorned with eye-catching graffiti. He inspected the area, his movements erratic and uneasy. After a quick scan, he returned to his car, but soon emerged again. This time holding an object I couldn't quite discern. His crossing of the road was frantic, zigzagging as if doing imaginary obstacles, eyes darting all around. He crouched behind the electric box for a solid 3 to 5 minutes, fumbling with something that might have been his car key or another small object. It appeared he was placing or retrieving something, though the details were unclear from my vantage point. His actions were deliberate, yet panicked. He then stood up, hurriedly returned to his car, and drove off, taking a right turn at the end of the street. Roughly 5 to 8 minutes later, another individual emerged at the same spot. This person, a man wearing a black cap, gray hoodie, black bag, and blue jeans, didn't appear to be unhoused. He bent down, seemingly retrieving a green plastic bag from behind the electric box. After a few steps, he paused to inspect the contents, though trees obscured my view of what he was examining. The whole incident felt off. Was it a drug deal, a hidden stash being retrieved, or perhaps something completely mundane? The body language and furtive movements of both individuals suggested something more sinister. Whatever it was, it left me with an uneasy feeling. adding to the growing list of mysteries in my seemingly peaceful neighborhood. What do you think it was? Any theories? Conspiracies? Or was I just reading too much into it? Lots of love, your daughter from South Africa, Anonymous.
Anonymous. Hello, honey. First of all, thanks for writing in. I recently stumbled upon a TikTok series of, it's only 2 videos so far, but it's a guy that lives in LA that was seeing people putting things, bottles of piss, it turns out, near an electrical box, like leave them at night, and then someone would come and get them. And he calls it the piss saga.
Oh, I know why, probably.
He couldn't figure it out. He set up like trail cams to figure out who the person was, and he like saw the guy leaving it there.
I was going to think putting pee there for a drug test. You're like selling it basically.
That's smart. Okay, because he couldn't figure out why somebody would be like leaving pee, like various bottles of pee. People in the comments were like, well, maybe it's, I couldn't understand how you would have it be a drug deal. And they were like, maybe something's hidden in the bottles. But I was like, I don't know how you would get it, because it's all shapes of bottles. It looks like 20-ounce soda bottles. But what I'm saying is you need to set up a trail cam. This guy, it's very funny. His name's Derek Milton, if you search him up on TikTok, or he put him on Instagram. But he and his friends are very funny, and they're playing it so straight. So they like go and they dress up in disguise to like play at the cameras. It is quite a funny saga. But it made me think of this where like you maybe get like a trail cam or something where it's like motion activated, and then you can like see what's going on down there.
Yeah. My first thought was drug deal. Just because of the baggie and everything, and everybody looking mischievous
over their shoulder.
There's also, I mean, a lot of other stuff people could be dropping off that you paid for, that you, not just drugs, but other illegal things. But yeah, it sounds like some kind of transaction was happening that nobody wanted to be caught doing.
I'm interested in the other mysteries in your seemingly peaceful neighborhood. If this is just one of many, please feel free to send in any further mysteries. But I think you're right. This one kind of sounds like if it's a green plastic bag, it's probably some type of, who knows, illegal substance, or at least something that you don't want to like face to face be like, here's the piss, and they're like, thanks. And they shake your hand.
Piss in a bag is quite a way to distribute that. So if you're trying to buy piss on the dark web for drug test purposes, get it in a bottle.
Demand a bottle.
Demand it. You don't want piss being sent to you in a baggie.
No, because then you're going to have to tape it to your leg in a baggie. It'll be a whole thing. But
I feel like the chances of it spilling are pretty high, too.
Oh, yeah. It's a whole... I would never... One of my friends did I don't know if it was like somehow they were trying to pass a drug test with somebody else's pee, and it involved like taping a Ziploc bag. It was like a whole...
Because it's got to be body warm temperature, because the nurses know if it's cold piss that it didn't just come out of you.
This is from your purse.
I guess you could still, if you were selling it, you could still warm it up. Yeah, you just put it in a bag but that's what I think. Either the guys on TikTok are doing it themselves, that they're all having fun with it, or people are selling their pee behind an electric box for drug tests.
It's Los Angeles. I wouldn't put it past the second one or the first one, honestly.
Or other reasons. Who knows what you're into.
Anonymous, let us know if you see anything else sus happening by that electrical box, and we'll give you our opinion, but I think in this case, it's some kind of contraband sale.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Sinisterhood will be right back. Well, this next one is from Courtney, and the subject line is, "Who stitched me up?" Hey, y'all. I deeply admire the work you do. You're beautifully human, and you make the world a better place. You're also funny as hell. When I'm listening to you, it's like I'm listening to my friends. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Courtney writes, this story takes place 25 years ago. I was 17. Goddamn, time goes so fast. And I was playing point guard for my high school's basketball team. My team was locked up in a serious tournament game. You lose, your season is over. My team was holding a nice lead, and we entered the fourth and final quarter confidently defending the score. I was all over the court, scrapping for every inch, doing all I could to keep our team ahead. Our opposition put up a shot, and I ran like hell to get the rebound. Now, I'm not the tallest, 5'4" on my best day, so when I made a play, I was in a land with everyone much taller. I jumped as high as I could to grab the ball. I remember feeling a soft thump and then waking up face down on the floor. My first instinct was to see if I had blown out my knee. ACL tears are such common injuries in our game, and I remember feeling tremendous relief fall over me when I could move both of my legs without incident. I rubbed my eyes as I came to a bit more. My face was slick. I could not understand what the issue was until I looked at my hands. They were covered in blood. It turned out that when I stormed the lane to snag the rebound, I had caught my teammate's elbow beneath my right eye. The damn thing knocked me out cold and left me with a nickel-sized gash. I was going to have to get stitched up, and my game was over. I sat on the sideline in tears as I watched our lead dwindle. The score was tied at the end of regulation, and we lost in overtime. As I sobbed on the sideline, a man came up to me. "I can help you with your injury," he said. "Can you and your family follow me?" He seemed professional, so my parents, grandparents, and I jumped into our car and followed this man to a local emergency room. Admittedly, at this point, the story becomes a bit of a legend in my family because what follows defies explanation. The man hopped out of his car and asked us to follow him in the ER. He got some pushback from people at the front desk, but he flashed some credentials and was allowed to take me back for my care. He cautiously gave me 5 stitches to close up my wound. He told me he would add a special loop stitch to minimize scarring on my face. I had no idea what any of this meant, but I trusted him, and so did my family. He finished up and gave me a few instructions on post-care. He also gave my mom a business card for contact in case any problems arose. We all thanked him, and he graciously accepted while telling us there were other games happening with more people who needed his help. In a snap, he was on his way. A couple weeks later, I wrote him a thank you note for his kindness and care. I used the address from his business card and sent the note on its way. The card was returned to our home. Address unknown. I carefully reviewed the addressed envelope to see if I had made mistakes in writing before sending. I had not. We tried to send another card. Same results. Now, maybe there are many explanations to this happening, but I know that my family still looks at each other with raised eyebrows and wild smirks when we revisit this story. And the extra loop stitch worked wonders. I don't have any signs of a scar. Y'all get back to Tennessee so I can see you live sooner rather than later. You're doing such important work and bring a lot of joy as well. Courtney.
Courtney, you were visited by Dr. Santa. It sounds like it was, I have other games to attend. I must leave now.
He's like, well, one night a year when all the basketball teams are on tournaments, I go from game to game stitching kids up. That's cool though that he had like, I was thinking, oh man, you got like VIP. It's like the, head doctor of the hospital or something, but to write him and then it comes back address unknown, it's like, was he a ghost? Who was that man?
I don't know. And if he was the head doctor, why would they give him grief at the...
Right.
Unless he's always coming in and they're like, we've told you, Dr. Santa, you can't just randomly bring kids in here throughout the day. You got to let us know you're coming.
I'm a visiting doctor. I need somewhere to practice. Well, that sounds like definitely it would enter the family legend when it's like, do you remember when that guy just swooped up Courtney and went and stitched her and we paid $0 for it? Like,
that's
we
awesome.
all should be so lucky to be visited by Dr. Santa.
Right? Free healthcare and no scarring. It sounds like he knew what he was doing and helped you out quite a lot. Well, if you're listening to this and you are Dr. Santa or you've had an experience with Dr. Santa, let us know. Maybe we can find him and get him. Although it sounds like he's not doing it for the credit. He's doing it just to help.
He's doing it.
He gives out a fake business card with a fake letter with a fake address.
I don't even want a thank you note. Yeah, if you were playing 25 years ago and you were playing high school basketball at the time and some guy was like, hey, follow me, I'll give you stitches for free, write in so that Courtney knows she's not alone. But it sounds like he was pure of intention, especially with that loop stitch came in clutch.
I thought when first reading this, it was going to say, follow me. And then you went to his van. So I was very pleased to hear you went to a medical facility to have your stitches done.
Right. Or you say as I was laying on the table, I looked over and noticed, there's a lot of dogs and cats in these cages. And I was not at a human hospital, but a stitch is a stitch.
A stitch is a stitch. I mean,
that's awesome.
It gets your face stuff too, man, especially into your eye.
Bleeds so bad.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling too, it's almost like when you get hit and you have a bloody nose or something where you're like, why are my hands wet? And then you look down and you go, oh no, that's coming from my face. Yeah, well, thank God Dr. Santa was on the case. Well, thank you very much, Courtney. Sinisterhood will be right back. This next one is from Kate, and the subject line is, The Scarecrow in My Closet. Hi, Christy and Heather, longtime listener since 2019, and I absolutely adore you both. Your work on this podcast is simply incredible. Keep it up. Seriously, please never stop. I'll go crazy without listening to you two every morning while I get ready to teach a class of 23 9-year-olds. Anyway, enough chit-chat, on to the story. When I was around 6 years old, my local library held a Halloween coloring contest. I won for my age group and was gifted a bucket full of candy, as well as a 5-foot-tall stuffed scarecrow. I truly am not sure why they thought a 6-year-old would want a scarecrow that was nearly twice the size of her, but that's neither here nor there. The scarecrow had on brown overalls, an orange shirt, black boots, and a hat. On his face, he wore a nice smile, had shiny button eyes, and even had some rosy cheeks to complete the look. All in all, he was pretty nice, I suppose, but I had no interest in him. He didn't belong with my cute dog stuffies or my princess dolls, so into my closet he went. Hung up by a little hook on the back of his hat, he dangled off the clothes rack and smiled at the wall. He stayed there for around 2 or 3 years, never being moved or played with, just hanging there in my closet. Now, before I continue, there's a few things you should know about the house I grew up in. It was a nice house in a small neighborhood that was surrounded by cornfields. My house was right on the edge of a road that butted up to the side of one of those fields. A little ways out into that field was an old abandoned house. You could tell the house used to be very nice. A 2-story with a front porch, a cellar, a barn for livestock, etc. However, it had definitely been abandoned for a long time. The roof was caved in, the doors and windows busted, and the barn had all but collapsed in on itself. During the day, it was interesting to look at, but at night, it gave me the heebie-jeebies. I had heard plenty of stories on the school bus about the older woman who had died there. Her ghost still sat in the upstairs window, waiting for her long-dead husband to come home. At night, if you look at just the right time, you might see his lantern swinging as he walked slowly across the field toward the house. You also might see the flicker of her candle in the upstairs window. Those were just ghost stories, but as the little girl who lived in the house closest to that abandoned house and slept in the room with the window that had a great view of that abandoned house, I was always extra careful at night to close my window shades all the way, leave the hall light on, and crack my door open just the slightest so that my mom would hear me scream if the older woman's ghost were ever to wander into my room. Another thing I was always sure to do was shut my closet door tightly, no cracks at all. I did this because over the months and years that the scarecrow hung in my closet, I became scared of him. His eyes seemed to bore into me as I picked out my clothes in the morning or grabbed a game to play in the afternoon. His smile seemed to taunt me as I closed the closet door on him day after day, month after month, year after year. Of course, I could never tell my parents this because I couldn't be known as a scaredy cat. Silly little me, frightened of a scarecrow? Never. And so, he stayed in my closet and slowly became one of my biggest nightmares, until one day, it all came to an end. This particular day, it was gloomy outside. I remember the rain pattering on my window. I was playing in my room with my dolls and decided it was time to get out my dresses and makeup so that I could be the American Idol star that I always dreamed of being. I opened my closet door and began rummaging around for my makeup case. The scarecrow hung above me, his felt boots getting right in my way. I finally found the makeup case and stood up to go through the clothes rack to find my favorite dress. As I stood, I was face to face with the scarecrow. We locked eyes, the scarecrow with his black button ones, me with my blue ones, and I swear to you, his smile began to grow. It spread across his face, a terrifying sneer. I was paralyzed. His eyes glinted as his smile continued to grow. Finally, I snapped out of it, slammed the closet door shut, and screamed the most blood-curdling scream you can imagine. I charged out of my room and down the hallway to my mother. Of course, she didn't believe me. Who would believe a now around 8 or 9-year-old girl that the stuffed scarecrow hanging in her closet had smiled at her? That would be insane, impossible. But it happened. I swear. That scarecrow smiled a smile akin to Pennywise, and I saw it. That evening, I finally built up enough courage to open up my closet door. The Scarecrow hung there. I grabbed it and quickly ran out into the garage, where I stuffed it into a storage tote. That summer, we had a garage sale, and one of my grandma's friends bought him for $3. You may think that's the end of the Scarecrow, but it's not. Remember that old abandoned house out in the field? Well, eventually it was torn down. A new house was built where the old one used to stand. My grandma's friend bought the new house and moved in. Now, every fall when I visit home, the Scarecrow sits on the front stoop of that new house out in the field, his black eyes, rosy cheeks, and that terrifying smile still taunting me.
Grandma's friend really said, I'm about to traumatize you for life.
She's like, that house, the scary one? Oh, I'll live right there. And I'll position the Scarecrow right here for you all. I like that, though. She was like, $3? What a deal.
I'll take it.
No.
How funny for your school to give you a something that's larger than you to have to carry around. But a bucket of candy, score.
That's my question. Did the library just go like, hey, we're going to have like different age groups? Because she said I won my age group. So if you won like the 6-year-old age group, does that mean that somebody in the 10 to 12-year-old age group, they're like, oh, well, we have a 6-foot-tall Scarecrow for you, the older kids. The 5 and 6-year-olds can have the 5-foot-tall one. It's like, where are our tax dollars going?
Everybody gets a Scarecrow. It just depends on how tall it is.
Yeah, that is that.
But
feeling
they're all haunted. That's
you're
the
like,
catch.
Your face is moving, and I know it's moving, and it's like, no, it isn't. Yes, it is. You know what? I think the storage tote is a perfect place for it until the garage sale.
I commend you for having the courage to open back up your closet and grab him and run down the stairs, because I would be, I think, too scared to even get close enough to him to touch his soft little body.
It's like, I love when you carry me. Stop laughing. Yeah, after all them scarecrows at that community garden by my house, I'm out on scarecrows. I'm not having
scarecrows. Ella recently asked me who my favorite character in The Wizard of Oz was, and I said the Scarecrow. She said you can't say Dorothy.
Oh, okay.
I think she actually said, of the 3, Scarecrow, Tin Man, or Cowardly Lion, who's your favorite? So it was very narrowed down. And I said Scarecrow. And thinking on it, that might be the last time I liked a Scarecrow. Because for the most part, they scare me, and I'm not a crow, but they do their job.
They do indeed. Yeah, that's a sweet Scarecrow, though. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Well,
he doesn't look like he's going to climb down and just strangle you. Fucking not Hills Have Eyes. What's the one with the Scarecrow? He comes back every like 24 years or something.
I hate it.
Anyways.
It just sounds like it affected you, though.
It's I'll think about it while you. Well, there's one called Scarecrow, but there's so many Scarecrow movies. Scarecrow, Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, Scarecrows, Curse of the Scarecrow, Dark Knight of the Scarecrow 2, American Scarecrow, Bride of Scarecrow.
Stop it.
Another Scarecrows, Scarecrow County, Return of the Scarecrow.
No, stop it.
There's so many. Wait, damn it. There were still more.
Too many.
All that to say, Scarecrows, they've earned themselves a reputation for doing what they're supposed to do. And that's scare people.
They're so scary. They have an entire franchise and extended cinematic universe, it sounds like, with a whole, from Bride to County.
Those are all different directors, by the way, in years.
Oh, man.
Everybody's catched in on the Scarecrow craze.
It's one of those words when you say Scarecrow so many times, you're like, Scarecrow. What a weird word that we're all saying.
Yeah.
Just 2 words
But then you break
together.
it down, you're like, literally, these are meant to scare the crows out of the field, so they're aptly named.
Right?
It's not terrifying.
Well named, but keep it the fuck out of my house. Well, thank you very much, Kate, and Godspeed this fall when you inevitably see it again.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Sinisterhood will be right back. Well, this final one is from Dakota, and the subject line is Werewolf or Bored Spirits. And he writes, hello. Not great at opening, so let's just jump into this story. Let's set the scene. I'm from a small town in northeast Arkansas with a population of about 4,000, with the closest Walmart being a 20-minute drive away. You can guess that things to do are pretty limited, And as a teenager, you're left to be as creative as possible. My best friend and I were always into the magical, mythical, paranormal aspects of life, and while it seems very likely that vampires and werewolves don't exist, that didn't stop us from downloading tracker apps and letting our imaginations run wild. Now, I want to provide more insight. We were around 15 or 16 when we started playing around with these apps. And no, we did not smoke weed, at least not when we were using the apps. The apps themselves are pretty simple. It's a basic radar that scans the area around you and will pop up nearby, quote, creatures that were close to you. My friend and I would often visit the town's park and run around looking for people that may be in the area or wondering if possibly they were hidden behind a veil, walking alongside of us but in a parallel plane or universe. This particular day was a fall day. We were at the park around dusk and on a full moon, as this is when you would typically get more activity with nearby werewolves. As we walked through the park, the vibes were definitely a bit more on the eerie side versus most of our light-hearted days of searching. On the other side of the woods was loud construction noises, and we could hear howling. No, we did not believe it to be the howling of werewolves, but it was clearly coyotes. It was also windy on this day, so leaves were constantly rustling through the trees and along the path. As we walked along, we heard a loud bang from the construction, followed by a howl and a loud rustling noise. This caused us to laugh it off as a werewolf charging at us, so we took off. Then, suddenly, we heard footsteps. This spooked us, so we took off running. My friend's shoe fell off, so we paused, and we heard the footsteps get louder and go from walking into a sprint. This led us to take off running. We ran back to my car and got in super fast. At every parking space was a dim light post, and given that it was getting dark, you could see the light bulbs on. As we jumped in, we both looked up, and in front of the car, we saw a person-shaped shadow pass over the light from the light post and the car's headlights. We didn't see an actual person, but the light flickered just as if a person had walked in front of it. We looked at each other and immediately left in shock and disbelief. We've been to this park multiple times and have gone around hunting for vampires and werewolves using these apps multiple times. Never had run into anything that actually seemed real or spooked us. The park does sit beside an old cemetery of about 60 graves from an old poorhouse that used to be there. It was always rumored that the park may be haunted by spirits from those graves. But, again, we never actually experienced anything, and I don't recall ever hearing anyone talking about experiencing things at or around the park. And the park was very popular for walking and birthday parties, so people were constantly there. So, I ask, what do you ladies think? Do you think we were just stupid teens caught up in the moment and made up a shared experience in our brains? Is it possible that maybe werewolves do exist and one was actually chasing us? Or do you think a bored spirit saw two teens being stupid and wanted to have some fun? This is the only time I've ever experienced anything of the paranormal, and it's hard to explain to people that have never experienced anything before. But my friend and I both recall clearly hearing footsteps running towards us and seeing that shadow pass in front of my headlights and the light post. Not sure that you'll read this, but if you do, I hope you enjoy. I figured if anyone could understand this story, it would be you two. I've included photos of the app that is still available on the App Store if you're bored and need to entertain yourselves. Hell yeah.
I've been downloading this right away. It is called Werewolf Locator. How did we not know this existed?
Yes. Speaking of things that are named exactly like they should be, it's the Werewolf Locator.
But also, we discussed werewolves and vampires in our Full Moon Energy show. Yes, we could have been looking for werewolves on the road this whole time, everywhere we go.
What I'm assuming is that every city we've been in has had werewolves in it, and we just weren't able to track them because we didn't know about this Werewolf Locator app. But thank you to our friend Dakota for teaching it to us, and now we're going to be able to hunt them just like Dakota and his friend.
4.7 stars is pretty good. This has 4.7 stars. It says, the Werewolf Locator Model WL114. So there's been some tweaks.
I've been updating it. It's like an app.
Automated version of a detection method dating back to the Middle Ages. This technique, based on processes which remained secret for a long time, enables the werewolf's precise, remote, and riskless localization. 750,000 downloads around the world. Well, it can't be wrong then.
You're not alone in hunting the werewolves.
You will, in a matter of minutes, easily obtain a lot of useful information on the surrounding werewolves.
You need to know.
In addition, it automatically computes moon phases and allows you to fearlessly get out at night, even on cloudy, dark nights.
Look at that.
Well, I think that, you've sold me some features. Radar with fast and precise werewolves detection. Moon phase calculator, full moon notifications, werewolves world maps. So no matter where you are, you know where to find them. Globally, the Werewolf Herald, which is a newsletter I'm going to shortly subscribe to. Alarm bell. Blood rain. Well, things have taken a turn here. This is a feature. The blood rain is a feature. And many other functionalities with cheat codes. No in-app purchase. You've got me right there.
And I do like the legal disclaimer at the end. This app is for entertainment purposes only. Its accuracy won't prevent injuries. Because here's the thing. It's going to be accurate, and it's going to take you to a werewolf. And if you get 8, that's not Sebastian's problem, the developer of the app. That's not his problem. He didn't do it.
Sebastian Mogui? Well, you're doing the Lord's work, Sebastian. Thank you so much. And I don't know this for a fact, but there's probably a vampire locator. So if we can get both of those, then we've really rounded out our investigation skills at this point, because now we're ghost, werewolf, and vampire hunters.
Yeah, if you got the apps, you're in business, baby.
We already have the ghost one, so yeah.
Yeah, we're ready to be in business. And then we talk about the prevalence of vampires in full moon energy, so this will just go to help us because
werewolves.
Yeah, we will be able to actually do on-the-ground research when we go to each of these cities.
Well, Dakota, as far as your situation goes, I think it was a werewolf ghost that was, you caught him. Now, see, what I want to know is, what did your app say as this was happening? Was it like creature nearby? And then you started hearing running and stuff? Because sounds like old Sebastian's making good on his promises, if that's the case.
And also, don't go crying to him if the werewolf injures you, because it sounds like he's not taking any responsibility. There is something eerie to hear, kind of like a cacophony of sounds, and then running afterwards. So like a bang from the construction site, a howl, and then running. Because regardless if it is a real person running away from like, the construction site's about to blow, like, they're like, we struck a gas main, everybody run, or it's a spirit, or it's a werewolf. Regardless, I'm not trying to get got. So I think y'all did the right thing.
Or a pack of coyotes.
Yeah, the coyotes knocked over the construction equipment. They hit a gas main. Now everyone's running, including the coyotes.
Honestly, I would take the ghost werewolf over that situation. Right. So, well, you got in
the coyotes in the earth mover. Get him out. The coyotes got a hold of the dirt digger. Get him. If the coyotes take over your construction site, then no app in the world can save you.
No, they're too wily. They're going to get away from you. It's shadow things, especially passing in front of light stuff, is always, we get a lot of stories like that. And it's always sends a bit of a shiver down my spine, especially when your friend sees the same thing. So
yeah.
I don't know.
What was that? It's like you both look at each other going, what was that? That's when it's like, oh, that was something. Because it could have, if you're at a park and, it's dusk or whatever and the full moon's on the rise, while it could be a werewolf, there's a lot of, as the Walgreens woman told me the other day, there's a lot of weird folks out here. I said, what do you know? And she knew. Turns out she knows everything. Oh. She's the manager of the Walgreens. She knows everything. She knows everything.
She sees it all.
Yeah, she does. So, regardless of the time of the moon being full, I don't know. Does it get people riled up? Come see us at Full Moon Energy and we'll tell you. But there's a public park, seeing shadows like that, and especially after a cacophony, regardless of what it was, I think you were right to run away, because worst case scenario, it's a man beast willing to tear you limb from limb.
Yes. I also would love, Dakota, if you could send an update saying what the app was telling you when this happened, if you were using it and it made it seem like something was around at the time.
We got to download this app because it looks like there's even achievements you can get in the Werewolf app. So it's go time, baby. Thank you, Dakota, for changing the game on this full moon energy tour. We're so excited.
Be locating so many werewolves with this. Also, the like thumbnail for the app is just a little paw with a green like radar thing. So it's like, it's I like it. The design is nice. Age 9+. Okay.
Junior werewolf hunters.
Because you can't blame somebody for getting hurt. So you got to know what you're getting yourself into.
Can't be too early with your werewolf hunting for sure. But 15, 16, that's a good age for it.
I definitely would have done this had this been a thing when I was that age. Well, thank you so much, Dakota, for sending that in. And thank you to everybody for sending in your Freaky Friday stories. If you have an odd but true story, maybe you've encountered Bigfoot, you've seen a UFO, you had a brush with true crime, or you felt the presence of an otherworldly being, send them in at Sinisterhood.com/Freaky Friday. If you like our free episodes, you'll love our Patreon bonus content. You can join for free to see what we're up to next, or dive into over 900 hours of bonus content when you join one of our tiers.
Not only that, you get ad-free episodes, monthly live stream Q&As, quarterly live bonus content, weekly audio bonus content like true crime headlines, Judge Christie, Am I the Asshole, relationship advice, unpopular opinions. There's so many I can't even list them. As well as monthly minisodes, merch discounts for rolling the airwaves and getting into a tier that are used year-round, and you can be used on clearance items as well, and a community of the best listeners on the whole internet.
Yeah, and if you just want to join for a week and check out the perks without having to pay for anything, we have free trials. You can join at any level. Join at the highest one, that's what I would do. And then if you cancel any time before the trial is over, you just don't get charged. If you want to keep it going, then you can stay at that level or drop it down to another one. But it's a cool way to check out all the stuff we see as a little sampler platter before you make a decision.
I love an ice cream store that gives out samples. I was like, we got to give out samples. Yeah. I love a sample. You can also head over to Sinisterhood.com and click shop on the top banner to check out Sinisterhood merch like t-shirts, including our Believe and Be Kind Flatwoods Monster shirt. We've got mugs, totes, stickers, and even clothes for the kiddos. And don't forget to shop that merch clearance sale and use those Patreon discount codes when you check out.
While you're on our website, you can also review the show. We make it super simple to leave us a review. You can follow us on socials, and you can check out the episode description for sources used during our research. You'll also find fun things like topic-based playlists and links to all those full moon energy shows.
You can follow us on Instagram and Threads at Sinisterhood Pod, like us on Facebook at Sinisterhood. You can watch full video versions of our Wednesday episodes, clips from Freaky Friday, porch live streams, including... I bought some stuff on eBay today for you. A gift. I may have bought a little gifty. And go over to our YouTube channel and you can watch a stream where we discuss the news, aka the National Enquirer and Weekly World News is our most recent stream. It was pretty silly. And you can also check out clips of the show over on TikTok, both at Sinisterhood Podcast. If you want custom video shout outs, just for you, whether we're giving you a happy birthday, happy anniversary, a pep talk, or a message for the Sinisterhood fan in your life, head over to cameo.com, search Sinisterhood, and order your custom video shout out and let us know in the request if you want a cameo from the Corn Skull, from Petal, from Kate, from the Popple, the Fuckmouth Moon. You let us know and we'll make your dream come true on
We'll show
Cameo.
up too, but they're the real stars.
We'll be there, yeah. Where are you at on the internet?
I am on Instagram and Threads at Christy M. Wallace and TikTok at Christy or GTFO. Heather?
Y'all can find me at Heather versus the World.
As always, the devil rules the airwaves.
Keep it creepy.